What up, player profiler nation? Welcome to the latest episode of The Game Plan. I am your host, Matty Kiwoom, and I have an action-packed episode for each and every one of you planners today. We're talking rookies, okay? The draft just happened last week. We were in Michigan. The draft house was bananas. Cody Carpentier and I were on the main table for all 257 picks. So think you can kind of guess who my guest is going to be today. But before we do the episode, I just want to say something off the top. So onemission.org, they're raising money for children with cancer. And this Sunday, May 8th, tomorrow, I am participating in the One Mission Buzz Off. So that's right. I will be cutting the mullet for a great cause on May 5th at Gillette Stadium. So I'm going to head over to the stadium, and I'm going to go ahead and buzz off this gorgeous mullet, but it's for a great cause. And to be honest, I'm just truly grateful to be a part of it. If you'd like to donate, you can go over to onemission.org. I'll put the link in the description, but it's just mybuzzoff.org/page/Matt DeRosiers, DESROSIERS. But again, you can head over to Twitter. I got it over there pinned on my account. You can just reach out, DM me. I'll make sure you get that link if you feel like you want to donate at all to a fantastic cause. So we got a great episode for you today. We got a great cause this weekend. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna miss it, but guess what? Some things are just bigger than the mullet, and I'm very, very excited to be a part of the One Mission Buzz Off. So let's get in to today's episode. You may have guessed it. My guest today on the show is my co-host of The Hurdle every Tuesday and Wednesday, my brother from another mother, the host over a number of shows over at RosterWatch, and the founding father, or should I say the founding innovator of the show that I'm on now, the Future Cast, my man, Cody Carpentier. Brother, you've been on the show. You've been on too many times that now I'm just like digging for ways to intro you. I've introed you so many ways that I'm just kind of spinning up. Next time you're going to go, what's up, brother? And we'll just keep it riding.
I've actually never been on this show, brother.
That's cool. You made your debut last week on the Future Cast. You're making your debut here in the Game Plan today. You know, it's great. How's it feel to be back from Michigan? What's it like? How's it reassimilating back to normal life?
It feels good. Wife's birthday this last yesterday, and we went to K-Pot and Korean barbecue. And I thought coming back from Detroit that I was going to, begin fasting, and I began. And then I stopped, and I think I went net backwards after the old K-Pot Korean barbecue situation. The funny thing is the place opened up on her birthday, so we ended up going there for her birthday. And brother, I think we had two different tables. One table was all men because we did the grill. One table was all women because they did the pot. And we cooked probably 18 pounds of meat, dude. I think we cooked up like 7 or 8 steaks. Right? All the salmon, all the shrimp, all this, I don't even know the words for half of this shit, but it was the bomb diggity. So man, I'm back. I'm floating. I'm full of carbs. I'm full of sodium, I should say, and I'm ready to talk some fantasy football.
Oh, dude, as you know, I've been doing the carnivore diet now for over 30 days. I've gotten a little more relaxed. I'm going to reintroduce fruits and veggies, but no carbs. And your boy would have went to the thing and destroyed him some red meat. I have been craving red meat like crazy.
You've been doing carnivore, which is something I've been, dabbling with carnivore and the vertical diet for the last, I don't know, probably 6 years. Have you tried liver yet? Because I sent you a picture of liver the other day, and I cooked it. And people are either cook or don't cook or cook with onion. Have you tried the liver yet?
I've had liver before. My wife's Portuguese, so I've eaten chicken hearts. I've eaten livers. I've eaten it all. It's good when you do it right. I haven't prepared it and cooked it myself, but I hear it's just so dense with nutrients, and it's a great food. They actually make liver supplements that they recommend if you do carnivore, if you can't stomach eating the liver. I could eat it. It's just I haven't yet. But like I said, when I go to my wife's cookout sometimes, like there's corazon. I'm eating some chicken corazon. I'll eat liver. Okay. It's all delicious if it's cooked right.
Okay, so then that kind of acts as my next question, which was the other night I pulled out 3 different things of meat. I pulled out a sirloin, I pulled out a fillet, and I pulled out some liver, and I'm putting it all on the old on the stovetop on my cast iron. and I hit the fillet first. I slice that baby up, right? It's rare. And I go and give Stephanie a bite. She's on the bike in the living room, biking, watching TV. And I just kind of like stick the fork up there, right? Give her some fillet. Ooh, yeah. You know exactly what I did next. Put that liver on there, cut the liver up, walked in there, gave her some liver, and she was not happy. She was not happy, dog. She came out. She's like, oh, pulling out of her mouth and spitting it out. And I was like, oh, come on. It's a little bit of liver. It tastes like grass. I was like, man, what are we talking about?
Healthy. Anything that's healthy tastes like grass, brother. That's the reason why we can't eat pancakes. All the delicious stuff is what kills you. It's the grass stuff that's really healthy for you. But I think it looked good. You sent me the picture, and that's what I thought you had a go-to recipe. That's what I asked you. I was like, hey, is that like a go-to thing? Because I'm
butter.
You need to let me eat. Well, I put butter. Brother Carver, I've been putting butter on everything. It's been butterific, and it's been fantastic. I even tried some people had this, they call it, those life hacks, those diet hacks. You put the butter in the freezer, and then you can take bites of it. It's like ice cream. No, that's where I drew the line. That's where I drew the line. I just would rather not do it, to be completely honest, than have to do some shit like that. But anyway, we're here to talk rookies, Cody. You and I are on the NFL desk for 257 picks, all 7 rounds, all the trades, all the chaos. Now I'm going to ask you to ask, and I'm going to come at you from left field here. I'm going to come at you from the bleachers, shield style. Okay, this isn't on the show sheet, and I'm going to ask you to put your brain back to last week. Put it back to almost over a week, and just. When the draft ended or some point in the draft, did you have some sort of guttural take? What was like your big fantasy takeaway for this draft? Was it like what was something that was in your mind a week ago while we were in the thick of it at the draft out there? You're like, man, this is just a formulating take right here.
Keon Coleman, lightning. That was my first take because when they took him in that first pick in the second round, my instinct was I told Nick Coder too the day before that they were taking Keon Coleman in round 1, and I felt really good about it. I was like, this is really weird. I just had like a fucking thing come to me, and it's Keon Coleman, and they ended up trading down twice and still picked at 33 and ended up taking Keon Coleman anyway. So he's virtually a first round pick because they had pick 32, and if Carolina hadn't traded out, they'd pick him at 32. That was but that was my instant thought was Keon Coleman crush. And that was an adjustment I made before the draft in our rankings. I bumped him up like 6 spots because I was maybe not 6, maybe like 3 spots, like receiver 8 or 9. And Alex was like, why'd you bump up Keon Coleman? And I was like, I just feel good. Like I was looking at the profile again, and like I get the yards per out run, I get the 40 time, but man, this guy can just play football. And at some point that matters. I get the pre-draft process is all about speed and all about what you did here and what you did there. But this guy could just play football. And that was my first thought was this guy's going to fucking kill in Buffalo. And then secondly, what the hell was Jacksonville doing this entire draft? That was my 2 thoughts.
We've covered it a bunch. Head over to the Draft Rankings YouTube channel, draftrankings.com. You can see all that stuff. We've been shredding the Jaguars draft the entire time. When I was sitting there, when I kept thinking about process-wise, and it's like you get enamored with the process. It's my first true trip through the process, covering, the Senior Bowl from home, being at the combine with you and Alex, kind of really ingesting it. And what I've taken away is all that matters for the public, all that matters for the industry is speed. Speed, the speed of which you run the drills, the speed of which you run the 40, the speed of which you run your reps in the Senior Bowl. It's speed. But what I'm starting to kind of get from my own opinion, and I'm starting to formulate these opinions, and I'll check them as they get into the season, is it's not so much about speed, brother. It's about fluidity. It's about how do these guys move? Do they look special out there? Who cares about the speed? And Keon Coleman was that person this year where we saw his 40 time, we weren't excited, and then you watch him run the drills, you watch him run the gauntlet. Man, this guy's got it. He's got that fluidity, and then you look back to Puka, and then I started thinking to myself, I always like these receivers. I always like these archetype receivers, these separators, these PPR type monsters. And it's like, what is it about those guys that always pop? Fluidity. They're always fluid. They can go inside. They can go outside. They can make all these plays. It's just fluidity. So that's kind of my big takeaway in terms of the skill position players and the fantasy takes. And I'm going to now be able to compare my thoughts now to the actions of their games in a few months. So that's kind of cool. But I want to ask you this too, Cody. What was your favorite late round pick? Like I said, we were there for all 100, 257 picks. We saw it all. What was your late round, or what your favorite late round pick for fantasy football?
I know Jason's going to love this. It's Ryan Flournoy.
He
We
does
met him
love.
at the Senior Bowl, and Flournoy checked a lot of boxes throughout the process. When you compare him to what Cowboys have done with Jalen Tolbert, with Michael Gallup, and trying to fulfill this spot as a 6th-round pick, Flournoy is going to come in with upper percentile workout metrics, with a very circuitous route to get through college. At what point he transferred multiple times from D2 to JUCO to Southeast Missouri State, and he's just gone through it with a positive kind of mind meld where he believes that he is the best receiver in the class. And at one point, being the type of prospect that he is, coming from a small school, being looked over, he's 24 and a half years old, you have to believe I'm the best to make it through. And this guy has the athleticism to do it. And I think on year 1, he's going to get plugged in here in this Dallas offense that really didn't add anybody out wide to be the number 2 or the number 3. I'm fully fledged into betting on Ryan Flournoy hitting here. And it started all down there at the Senior Bowl. So shout out to Jim Nagy and the whole Senior Bowl team.
Well, big shout out to Jim Nagy. I mean, what he's built down there in Mobile every year is like seriously where the draft does begin and the process truly kicks off. Flournoy's a good call here late. Being on the Cowboys and seeing how little they did on offense, it feels like he was the one real standout in terms of someone that could play. And why wouldn't he get out there and play? Now you have no Michael Gallup. He was, what did he sign? Denver or something like that. He just signed somewhere.
Las Vegas.
Vegas. He's with the Raiders. Brandon Cooks is 48 years old, and Jalen Tolbert's never fired. And in terms of his career, I would much rather have, when it comes to Tolbert versus Flournoy, give me the guy who's been steady Eddie. Give me the guy that's not going to make mistakes, and I think that's going to be the Mike McCarthy theory as well, which would lead to Flournoy getting those reps if Brandon Cooks were to go down, and wide receiver 2 type reps behind CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be pretty excited. You've got him in 3rd round of your rookie mocks, or is it really just is still 4th round?
I think you're going to get him in the 4th. On the rookie win sheet over at the draftrankings.com, I have Flournoy plugged in right there in the middle of the 4th, right next to Whittington, Jacob Cowing, Isaiah Davis, Braylon Allen, Michael Wiley. All these guys there in the 4th round. And you know what? I think I take Flournoy out of all of them.
Daddy Eddie. I mean, his journey's crazy. Jason said it a million times. D2, JUCO, low D1, NFL. He's 27 years old? Just kidding. He's not that old, but he's been doing it. He's been, through the process. It's pretty cool to see it kind of play out. My favorite, and again, this is on the rookie win sheets you can get over at the draftrankings.com. My favorite early round pick, and I 3rd round's early round, right? You can call it 3rd round early round, right?
Sure.
Is Roman Wilson. That's my favorite. That's my favorite early mid round pick. Roman Wilson. I love the landing spot. I talked about it over on Trade Gods this past week. You and I have talked about how he's just sailed up our ranks. If you want to see where I have him ranked, again, go over to the draftrankings.com. You can get mine, Seth, and Cody Dewald's rookie win sheet. But over at Player Profile 2, they updated their Dynasty rankings for all the positions. Certain standouts, certain fallers, risers, all that good stuff is all there. So you can check that out as well over at playerprofile.com. And Roman Wilson there's at 47 at the wide receiver position. I'm just going to tell you this. I'll give you a hint. I'm going to have a hell of a lot higher than that. I just think that the ceiling is there with this landing spot and the new quarterback in town, Mr. Russell Wilson. We talked about late round favorite picks. I kind of changed it on my own because it's my show. Made it a mid-ish round pick. That's my favorite. But now let's flip it up. Let's flip the coin over, my friend. And let's talk about an early round pick that is going to be a major bust candidate. Who's the bust of the early round picks?
The bust of the early round picks, Matty Kiwoom. You know the answer to this already, so I don't know why you're bothering to ask. It's a Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville.
The listeners need to hear this, Cody. There's going to be a lot of propaganda, a lot of positivity for BT Jr.
They spent the 1st round pick on this guy, and the problem is it's not the offense we wanted, Matty. What offense do we want? We wanted Cincinnati. We wanted Dallas. We wanted Philadelphia. We wanted Detroit. What we didn't want was an uncreative offense with a target earner on the interior and a target earner in the backfield and an offensive line that is inept because they did not spend the capital on the position. It's not what we wanted. And everyone's going to run out there and say, but he's attached to Trevor Lawrence and they just cut Zay Jones. This opportunity's no shit. The opportunity's in his hand. Of no shit, they cut Zay Jones. They just spent the first round pick on a wide receiver. But you know what else they did, Matty? They spent money on Gabe Davis. They spent money on Christian Kirk. They just picked up the 5th-year option on Travis Etienne. They just picked up the 5th-year option on Trevor Lawrence. And guess who has to get paid this year, Matty? Trevor Lawrence has to get paid. So it's only going to nuke the build that Jacksonville failed. You had an opportunity to build this roster, and they failed to do so by the time Trevor Lawrence's rookie deal got up. Houston did it the right way. You can already see it. Stroud in year 1, and Houston's building. Houston went from being good to shit to good before Jacksonville could establish a build with Trevor Lawrence. Literally. Houston was almost apexed with Deshaun Watson, went to the rock bottom, and then all the way back up, all in the time that it took Trent Baalke to get out of bed.
Did you listen to the GM Shuffle, the latest episode with Lombardi? He's been roasting the Falcons. We've been roasting the Jaguars, but you got to check that out. That was hilarious. We'll talk about that off air, but yeah, BT Jr. The prospect. I'll say this about his profile: it grew on us, right? I mean, throughout the process, we were talking. Alex Dunlap from RosterWatch. He's like, guys, you gotta watch Brian Thomas. He's pretty awesome. And then, as you dig more into that LSU tape, you see things you like in him, but he goes to one of the worst landing spots, one of the absolute worst landing spots that you could potentially go to, because now, if you want to just boil it down, it's the little picture that everyone circulated when the Bengals went Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. The picture of the quarterback getting hit because no one's blocking him. And then BT's he's going to be a downfield threat when Trevor Lawrence is going to constantly be under pressure. They did nothing to address that offensive line. They brought in some vets that wasn't even the cream of the crop. It's one thing to do what Carolina did, spend damn near $200 million on your interior line. It's another thing when you go the discount double check route that the Jaguars went and then spent zero draft capital, meaningful draft capital on 2 major positions, and one being offensive line. So I'm going to get a little nervous about taking Travis Etienne in the first couple of rounds. I'm going to hesitate on Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to hesitate on all the players on there except the 2 guys that I've always liked in offense, Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, because you don't need to hold the ball for all that long to check it down to your slot guy or your tight end guy. But it's going to be a damn near impossible task for him to sit back there with a bunch of time to chuck it deep to Gabe Davis or Brian Thomas Jr. So I like that call there. Before we move on to the next question, though, let's hear from today's sponsor.
It is NFL draft season and the wait is over. The Player Profiler Rookie Guide is available. It's live on the site now. Right there in the nav bar, click on the 2024 Rookie Guide to download it. It's so comprehensive. We're ranking and writing up more players than anybody. And this year, we're providing athleticism scores. We're doubling the number of advanced stats on each player profile. And guess who's back? Cody Carpentier. But it's not just him. It's Theo. It's Matty Kiwoom. It's John Lobb. And the Undroppables. All coming together to provide their composite rankings. And this year we're adding Superflex Tight End Premium because that's now become such a popular format. So get those composite ranks, get the write-ups, the comps, the stats and metrics you want. If you already have Dynasty Deluxe, you already have it. But if you don't, it's right there in the nav bar on playerprofiler.com. It's $20. It's not the first. It's not the most expensive, but it is the best.
We're back here. The game plan with Matty Kiwoom, joined by Cody Carpentier. Cody, now this is a question I love to ask, and it doesn't matter what the topic. I love to ask my guests something that kind of bucks the trend, because as you get in the minutia of fantasy football, there's a lot of takes that are very similar. Comes an echo chamber for certain players, biases, confirmed. What is it? Recency bias, whatever it's called. Confirmation bias is the word I'm looking for, the term I'm looking for. So here it is, Cody. You're getting the drum beat ready, and I love it. So is there a player that the industry loves, But you're saying hold the horses. I'm fading this guy.
Kamani Vidal, running back, Chargers. This is the biggest load of donkey nuggets we've ever seen. We've seen it, actually. This is the problem. We've seen it. And people are going to say, you can't just point at every running back in the history, but you can point at every running back in the history that was drafted in the 6th round that was given helium because of their landing spot. D'Angelo Henderson, Broncos, Coastal Carolina, 2017. Loved him. But 6th round pick, small school guy. Trenton Cannon, Virginia State, 2018. Boston Scott, John Kelly from Tennessee was a big school guy, but was not in the 6th round, and people still were in. 2019, Darwin Thompson, Utah State. Ring a bell? Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs for that one. Ty Johnson from Maryland goes to the Lions. Another miss on the old checkbox. Oh, Elijah Mitchell, what a hit. What a hit by Elijah Mitchell. So just so happened to be one of the most athletic running backs we've ever seen. Keontae Ingram from USC. Tyler Beatty. Zach Evans. Kamani Vidal. Because Gus Edwards is going to take 150 to 180 carries in this backfield. J.K. Dobbins is coming off of an Achilles. He may not have 200 in him, but he definitely has 70 to 80 in him. Kamani Vidal may get 50 to 100 carries. But Kamani Vidal is not going to pay off anywhere near the expectation that people are having right now, where I'm seeing him vaulted up into the late part of round 2. That is complete and utter blasphemy. And it makes no sense because of this class. This class is inept at the running back position, and there's 3 spots. It's Brooks, it's Benson, and it's Wright that you can really draw yourself a straight line, and it still has a little jagged in. You still get a little twitch in there. Past that, it's Estime, Shipley, Lloyd, Davis, Court. You have to wish cast some things to happen. Vidal, people are perceiving this backfield to be wide open, and Vidal's just going to get plopped in there. Not so fast, my friend.
Let me ask you this. I'm stewing on it for a second. If Gus Edwards comes out on fire, looks the best he has. J.K. Dobbins comes out, looks good, looks on fire, looks healthy. Kamani Vidal comes out, looks good. Checks the same boxes that he did in college. Who's the starter on that team?
Edwards.
I was going to go Dobbins, and I think that just further proves that point, that he's just like all the other running backs, in my opinion, at the end of the draft. He needs injuries. He needs things to go in his favor. He's just not going to show up and be the number 1 running back. I don't see that happening. Gus Bus, there's a reason why you tune in to guys like Cody and I, because, again, we don't just look at the analytics. We don't just look at the film. We're obsessed with the art of team building. We're obsessed with the nature of the athletics and being great at sports. And part of being a pro and sticking around in the NFL is it's important, right? And Gus Edwards got another contract. He's been around, even though he's not really athletic, even though he hasn't been a perennial 1,000-yard rusher, but he's been a pro. And those guys stick around, and those guys are the hardest guys to usurp when it comes to taking over roles. And then you bring in J.K. Dobbins. At their best, J.K. Dobbins is the most talented running back in this room, and it's not close. Kamani Vidal had a good year at Troy, but he was at Troy. He decided not to transfer, which in today's day and age, I kind of wonder why, especially at that position. But yeah, I'm with you. I still have him ranked above Ray Davis. But they're neck and neck, and I'm fading Vidal's helium. As he rises up the ranks, I'll look elsewhere. I have no problem looking elsewhere, because at the end of the day, you could get Rasheen Ali a couple rounds later, and he's in a very similar situation where big producer at a small school still needs injuries to get on the field.
And this is not completely a Kamani Vidal thing. Vidal was fine. I like the prospect of Vidal through the process, but
sure.
No, this is the thing. In 6th round, in this offense, they're telling us what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball. But you really think they're going to give Kamani Vidal 300 touches? He's not going to get 300 touches like he did at Troy. And he's definitely not going to average 9 yards per carry like he did against Arkansas State. He's definitely not going to average 9 yards per carry like he did against App State. He might, if we're lucky, average 4.6 yards per carry, which he did against Duke. Might. Probably going to be closer to that 4, lower than 4 number, which, as we know, catches some flack if you're a fan of Najee Harris.
What are your thoughts on Ben Sinnott? Because he's gonna be the player that I'm gonna bring up in this conversation. That the drumbeat is gonna get loud. Boy, oh boy, it's gonna sound like a goddamn rock show. It's gonna be very loud. And I like the draft capital, 21st pick in the second round. The landing spot's fine, but he even if there was no Zach Ertz, he's number 4 in the pecking order when it comes to just pushing
That's
the
the
ball
problem.
forward. And
Yeah.
it's just at this position when it's has such a high bust rate early on, and it takes these guys a lot of time to get acclimated and become NFL players. I just don't see this guy being a second round pick in rookie drafts. I don't see it. I would much rather wait and take Eric All, honestly. All that is in a situation where he could. I would wait till free agency and grab Tanner McLaughlin, because I think Tanner McLaughlin and Eric All is going to be the Luke Musgrave and Tyler Croft of 2024, where we like both players. They're both pretty good. They're in good situations. One guy's going to emerge, and it might not be the guy who's drafted first. We'll have to wait and see. So that's my guys, Ben Sinnott. So I want your thoughts. What's your breakdown of Ben Sinnott on the Commanders?
I think Sinnott on the Commanders is a good spot for him because it's behind Zach Ertz in a fact that it's exactly what you want. I mean, we didn't want it on a Trey McBride. We wanted that early output, but it helped McBride in the long run. And Ben Sinnott's a guy that can move around the entire formation. You can play H-back. You can put him in the backfield. You can put him at tight. You can play him in the slot. You can play everywhere. And the second round draft capital tells us what they want to do with him down the line, but we're not going to get it in 2024. We're not going to get the full experience of 2024. But he does have the ability to be Jaden Daniels' Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor, the tight end down there at LSU, is sick nasty, and he was a red zone target for Daniels. And I think that can continue to be the thing. It's just not sure it's going to happen in 24. It's more likely going to be a 25 breakout. So, yeah, if people are going to draft him in the second round, they can shove it, and we can trade for him a year from now.
That's exactly, because I remember Trey McBride this time last year. Remember how easy it was to get Trey McBride last summer? And I think Ben Sinnott is on that same trajectory, and I'm just not going to waste even a late second on that tight end, where I don't expect him to emerge as much of anything in 2024. And I still think it's a bit of a question mark, because what we're seeing now at that tight end position in kind of a meta thought is they're all freak athletes. What about Zach Kuntz? You know, I mean, they're every year it's like these guys are freak athletes. Eric All, these guys are they're just like Theo Johnson. It's like, okay, they're all freak athletes. I think we can all agree with that. What I do like about Sinnott is his versatility. It's the same thing I liked about Jaheim Bell, his ability to be used in different aspects and weaponized in different ways in the field. And he did get the draft capital, so I'm not fading him into oblivion in terms of like startups or redraft. But in my rookie drafts, no way am I taking him with the second round pick. I want to shift to the future here, Cody. I want to look to the future. Okay, there's a lot of rookie talk. The NFL draft just happened. We got a bunch of great shows talking rookie talk. But I want to take this I want this to be a little bit of an extensive conversation, if you will. It doesn't have to be an hour, but let's spend a few minutes on this. Let's talk about the 2025 class. Let's be real sickos here, right? And let's look ahead a year and help the planners maybe not get in that frame of mind thinking about next year's class, but start allowing them to evaluate their rookie picks right now. Because what we see a lot, right, is everyone throwing away 25s to get 24s. And maybe it's a good process, maybe it's not. So I want to talk a little bit about the 25 class and a couple of your favorites. So if you want to start off with who's one of your favorite guys that should be coming out in next year's rookie class?
In 2025, my favorite running back right now is Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon is from Oklahoma State. So I had this question that got brought up on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, and they said, who's your favorite running back next year? And I said, well, I have two, and Ollie, for NFL purposes, is probably my favorite running back, but Travion Henderson is probably right now my favorite for fantasy football purposes. When you look at the position in 2025 and 2024, I have 4 running backs in next year's class ranked ahead of Jonathan Brooks, who was my first running back in this year's class. 4. And then I have Nick Singleton, who comes in right behind Brooks. So 5 out of the top 6, if you would look at 2024 and 2025 combined, 5 out of the top 6 would be from 2025. And then you still have a group of guys like Gavin Sawchuk. You guys have Donovan Edwards, Rocket Sanders. These guys are all guys that are ahead of guys that are like fifth in this class. So we're talking double the depth on the top end at the running back position. And I love Ollie Gordon, who's probably going to be another 2,000-yard rusher, probably going to win back-to-back Doak Walker awards out of Oklahoma State. Very strong at the top here with Ollie Gordon, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, and then the Ohio State double duo, Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins. But I got to go with Ollie Gordon as my early onset favorite.
Oh, Ollie Gordon checks all the boxes. His ability to catch the ball, his yards after contact per carry, missed tackles forced. I mean, this kid's going to be, I don't know if he ever gets to the hype of a Bijan Robinson, but I think he's going to be worth that same type of fantasy capital going into next year. And if he does go for, 2 racks, Jesus Christ, it's going to be crazy. But what do you think about Taj Brooks? This is the guy that I'm kind of on the fence with. He's a plotter, but man, does he break freaking tackles. He's built like a brick shit house.
He's a bowling ball. That's what he is.
Yeah.
When he was playing against everybody through the Big 12 last year, he was just a bowling ball and untackleable. Texas just happened to have the strongest duo on the interior defensive line in the country. So when they played Texas Tech, it really was. I mean, he still was breaking tackles. I think he still ended up with like 70, 74 rushing yards against Texas, I want to say offhand. But he broke a lot of tackles in that game. And he's a guy that's just, his feet don't stop. He churns, and he's literally built like a metaphorical bowling ball, like a who's the Ray Rice. He's kind of built like a Ray Rice, but he's even a little more trapped up like a Ronnie Hillman type of a situation.
A little bit more
like
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner. There you go.
Like
Bang. Put them together. Michael Turner.
Yeah.
Bang. Perfect. I don't think his calves are quite as chonky as Michael Turner's were, but that's a very good comp, Michael Turner, for Taj Brooks coming out of Texas Tech. And Texas Tech should be all right this year, so we should get a couple more good games out of Taj. But the class next year at the running back position, I think overall is just straight up deep. And we just had Trevor Etienne transfer to Georgia from Florida. That's a guy that we saw show spurts in the spring game this year to give you opportunities. And all the way down to Damian Martinez, who I'm just updating right now in my database, who transferred to Miami, Florida this last week. My darling Hurricanes are involving the transfer portal, and Damian Martinez comes from Oregon State, a guy that dominated up there. Like the class, like as you scroll, is just deeper and deeper and deeper. And when I said updated my database, that is my cornerstone rankings. Maddie and I have cornerstone rankings over at the draftrankings.com. So go to the draftrankings.com and you can find these cornerstone rankings that feature the 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 draft class. And what that does for you is it just lays out the landscape of exactly what I'm laying out right now, is that this 2025 class is running back heavy. But when you scroll on the tight end, you go, ooh, shit. Mason Taylor's up there, who I just talked about from LSU, but then what? The 2024 class isn't strong, and you compare what the 2025 class has given us. It's Mason Taylor, it's Luke Lachey from Iowa, another Iowa guy coming through, and then it's kind of a fucking drop-off. It's kind of a drop-off.
Kid from Michigan. So, it's Loveland, right?
It's Loveland's put himself in the conversation, but we got 1 year so far. Like, it's kind of a drop-off right now at the tight end position, and I'm a little worried about it. But then receiver, and we've been on the historical run. You can compare that. Evan Stewart right now at Oregon. We got Luther Burden. We got Tedarea from McMillan from Arizona. Like, we got a good grouping of guys, but the class is definitely a little bit smaller next year again, maybe similar to the 2023 class. But I think overall next year is going to be a great class. But if I had to pick one receiver that I kind of want to watch throughout this season, I probably got to go with Deion Burks. Deion Burks transferred from Purdue to Oklahoma, and he got down and dirty in their spring game. I think he went for $175 and like 2 or 3 tugs. And Burks is a guy that if this Oklahoma team is good and Burks goes for like 15, 16, 17, 18, we could be having a conversation a year from now about Deion Burks.
Okay. And now Texas, I mean, you cover Orange Bloods, so we want to give them a shout out, talk about your stuff over at Orange Bloods to cover in Texas. They got themselves some dirt nasty receivers this year. Who's going to emerge as the number one?
That's the big question right now. We just did a show yesterday, Alex and I, talking about Ryan Wingo potentially starting. Ryan Wingo is a true goddamn freshman, talking about him starting because he's so sick. And they also have Jonte Cook, who will be in the 2026 class. He's also playing Z. DeAndre Moore in the slot. And then Isaiah Bond just transferred over from Alabama to Texas. He's perceived as the X right now. Bond should get some high-end usage, but it will not be near kind of the 30% target share that we've seen, 28% target share we've seen from Xavier Worthy the last couple of seasons. But I think Bond's going to play well. DeAndre Moore is going to be a riser over the course of the season because he's a slot dominator. He's a sick, nasty guy. He's like a DJ Moore type of a guy. His name's DeAndre Moore, so whatever, Demo, whatever you want to call it. But Jonte Cook, though. Jonte Cook is the drawing to be the next Odell Beckham. He's just about a year away from it happening.
Man, their spring game was fun.
Berserk.
They let Arch go out there and throw for over 300 yards. He was hitting everybody. But I want to focus just really quickly on Bond because Bond is a guy, 5-star recruit, went to Alabama. Everyone knows him from that last-minute touchdown catch against Auburn to win the game for the Crimson Tide. Talk about his game because he's going to be the guy that enters the draft, right? He's probably going to have the highest draft capital for 25 amongst these Longhorn receivers. So what type of players, what can our planners expect as they start to scout him, months down the road?
No, I think that's going to be the thing is you're going to see these way too early mocks come out. And I got mine. I'm working on mine right now. It'll be over at rosterwatch.com the next couple of days. But Bond's going to be a first-round projection. He's just where he's going to be right now as we currently stand because of the high profile he has. At Bama, he breaks out. He only went for 668 this year on 48 receptions and only had 4 touchdowns, so it really was a mild breakout. I think you're going to get a similar output this year. I don't know if he's going to crest 1,000 yards, but he's a guy that can work all over the formation. He kind of plays very similar to another 17 that was at Alabama. That's Jalen Waddle. That's the profile you can kind of archetype him to, where he can kind of work all over in the middle quadrant, where he can also take the top off of a defense. He can also project to be a 4.29, 4.28, 4.30 type of a receiver. He's not going to break this X record, but he's going to hit the 4.30 area. He's got deep speed, but he's also got it's very, 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 very doppelgangish to Jalen Waddle as far as all the things he can do as a route runner, all the things he can do as a dynamic piece, running jets behind the line of scrimmage and everything. So Isaiah Bond in the NFL, that's why he has a forehand right now on guys like, not a forehand, but like a conversation with like the Luther Burdens and the Evan Stewarts of the world because of his versatility.
And we saw him in Indy rocking the huge iced out 007 chain. That shit was fire. That was kind of fire. I won't lie. You got that swag. You got to have that swag and be a wide receiver and be a diva and check all the boxes, right? We're okay with that. 2 positions. You're okay with diva stuff, corner and wide receiver. Real quick, favorite quarterback coming out next year?
Favorite quarterback coming out in 2025.
At this moment in time.
At this moment in time, my favorite college quarterback is Jalen Milroe, but I'm not sure how it translates. To me right now, he's an early he's not early. He's a lesser version of Justin Fields coming out where the passing needs some growth. People are going to hate this shit, but the answer right now is either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I love Cam Ward down at Miami.
You do love Cam Ward.
I love Cam Ward. I've loved him for 3 years. I thought he should have came out 2 years ago after his first year at Washington State. After he transferred from Incarnate to Washington State, then he was at Washington again. Now he's at Miami. He should have came out multiple times. It's kind of like the Jacob Cowling thing. But Shedeur, it's the truth. Like this is the people gonna hate whatever they want to do. This is the new age. This is the new age shit. Whatever the drama, whatever doesn't matter. He's got the connections. He's been working with guys like TB, Tom Brady. He's been doing the right things. He's kind of a he's kind of a receiver. We'll just put it that way. He's kind of a receiver.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be good, but he's kind of a receiver, so it's going to take the right situation. But the quarterback class is weak as nuts. And I got one guy that I'm looking to this year. 2 guys I'm looking to this year that I want to see take steps. Kyron Drones out of Virginia Tech, who's got legs and he's been growing. And then Cade Klubnik. I want to say Cade Klubnik from Clemson take a step back up and enter himself back up into this top conversation. He's from Austin, Texas, down there where Alex is from, and he was a 5-star prospect at the quarterback position. Went out to Clemson. They haven't really had the weaponry for him. I think they got the weaponry for him now, so I want to see Cade Klubnik put himself back in this conversation.
The last name I'll bring up at the quarterback position that if he has a really good year at Ole Miss is Jackson Dart. Graded really, really well last year, but he's had his downs. But if he has another up, I think that this kid could fight his way into potentially the first round. It's a QB light round. It's a QB light class looking at 25. But if there's a number of guys, if they go gangbusters and they really light it up, they could be the Bo Nix, Michael Penix type of career archetype. So that's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be pretty exciting to see unfold. One last question, my friend, before I get you out of here. Give me a rookie bold take immediately following the NFL draft.
A rookie bold take immediately following the 2024 NFL draft is that Keon Coleman is the next guy in line to go for 1,400 receiving yards and double-digit touchdowns in the NFL as a rookie.
Book it, baby. You were saying it at the draft house. You're sticking to your word. Keon Coleman, right? More receiving yards than Marvin Harrison Jr. is what you said. I love it. Doesn't get much more bold than that. Cody, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out here, talking rookies, both this year and next year. Real sicko stuff. But go ahead. The floor is yours. Tell everybody what you're working on and where they can find it.
My way too early 2025 NFL mock draft will be up at RosterWatch later this week or on Monday. Everything else you can find over at thedraftrankings.com. We have podcasts that comes out 3 days a week. The hurdle's also over there. You can find the draft rankings on YouTube and anywhere you get podcasts, but literally it is what it is. The draftrankings.com, where you can get rankings for everything. Dynasty, redraft, 2025 NFL rankings, the whole 9 yards. We also do one-on-one connections where we jump in the text with you, you jump in the text with us, we jump on a Google Meet with you, we help you build your team, we help you diagnose your team and build and get ready for 2024 and 2025 and to dominate the draftrankings.com.
Hell yeah. The draftrankings.com. You can find me at Matty Kiwoom, all my shows, Trade Gods, Future Cast, Blue Chips, the game plan, all is out. And then you can also get the Hurdle on Tuesdays at Player Profiler. But if you want more Hurdle, you can get 2 episodes over at the Executives of Fantasy Football YouTube channel. It's Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. Make sure you are subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel and the Player Profiler News YouTube channel. Smash the like button on this video. Leave a comment. Who are your favorite picks in this rookie class? Who are some of your least favorite picks in this rookie class? Let Cody and I know what we got right, what we got wrong, and all that good stuff. I'm Matty Kiwoom, and I will see you next time. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.